Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Karma Cards, and I'm your host, Therese Tucker, and I'm so happy to have you here with me today. All right, let's get into the message. So let's look first at what's going on cosmically. This week, today I'm recording, it's April 16th. On April 17th, Mars will move into the sign of Leo, finally out of Cancer. Mars in Cancer is kind of a sensitive, sometimes insecure situation. So it's about, Mars is about taking action and that passion and what's driving you. And in the sign of Cancer, we can get a little maybe too precious with those things, or our insecurities, like what's stopping us from moving forward, really kind of come out. When Mars moves into Leo, it's much more in alignment, and now we get that fire energy back. Leo's got the confidence to move forward, and so you're going to start feeling more confident in moving forward in the direction that you desire to go. Also coming up on April 19th, we've got the sun moving into the sign of Taurus, which gives us some fixed earth. So something starts to feel like it's grounding and solidifying whenever we move into Taurus season. We just have to be careful that we don't get too solid, because then we get stuck. Taurus is known to be a little bit stubborn, and that's me putting it mildly, and sometimes procrastination can kick in too, right? When you're so into smelling the roses, it's kind of like, I always think of Ferdinand the Bull when I think of Taurus, because there is that energy there. Like Ferdinand the Bull is like a story about this bull, this gentle, soft bull who just wants to enjoy the luxuries and the little things in life. And that's a wonderful energy that we do want to make sure we are allowing ourselves to really enjoy what's around us. The only caveat is that sometimes we just want to sit and enjoy it, and we forget that we need to keep moving forward. So we just want to watch for those energies. The other thing I wanted to share with you, in case you didn't hear about it, was at the last full moon in Libra, which was on April 12th, we had this beautiful spirit circle, and I wanted to share with you some of the information that came through about the astrology of that day, because we had one really cool aspect that doesn't happen often, and it definitely is pointing at a theme and a sort of a, I don't know if it's a plot twist, but it's definitely a page turn that's happened. So on the full moon, the same day that Venus went direct, we had what's called a yod in the astrology, or a finger of God. And this involves several planets making certain angles with each other. So we had the moon was a big part of this. Venus and Saturn were at one end, and then Taurus was at the other end, as well as being connected to the sun and Chiron. So this is a yod, a God, a finger of God, and it was pointing at something for us to understand and know that this is like a significant turning point. And the gist of it, if you want to hear more about it, check out the next podcast that's coming up on Modern Mystic Soul. I go a little bit deeper into the details, but the gist of it was the finger of God was pointing at, it's time to drop the mask, the facade, the part of you that you perform or put on to make yourself more acceptable or more approvable by the outside world, right? It's the people-pleasing persona that we create to protect ourselves, and also because we believe that this is what people want to see from us. Basically, the finger of God was saying, that's got to stop now, or it needs to stop, or it should stop, or it will stop. And it was pointing to your true essence. So whatever's behind that mask that we create for ourselves for our sake of protection, the true essence wants to come through fully now. It is time, and all facades will stop working, was basically the gist of the message that was coming through with this finger of God. So the more we can stand in who we truly are and align with what's really going on, the easier and actually much more enjoyable this next period will be, because it's becoming more and more transparent. The world is becoming more transparent. Agendas are becoming more transparent. People are becoming more transparent. With that transparency is definitely, and that's very much linked to telepathy, which is something big I'm into. If you follow me on Insight Timer, you know that telepathy is the purest form of communication because it's absolute transparency. There is nowhere to hide if someone can read your mind. And so we are being asked to step into this new version of ourselves with not really, it's not a new version. It's the original version, actually. That's what I should say. It's the original version of yourself without any of the artifice put on top of it. If we try to cling to the artifice, we find that we're going to feel more like we're in a struggle. It's like, it's harder to keep it up. It's harder for us to get away with like having it there. People feel, it feels like you're transparent. And the transparency is what brings us the peace and the serenity and the allowing. And all that ease and grace that we're always looking for comes through this new paradigm, this new shift into a more open and aligned world. And then since that's where we're going, they're just letting us know, hey, nothing fake goes into these higher frequencies. So anything that's not actually a part of you, it just sort of burns away as you move higher. Now, if we're trying to hold on to it, we feel it. And if we allow it to dissolve, we feel great. So that's what's happening energetically. Now let's get into the message from the team. So today's message from the team very much aligns with this paradigm of more transparency. And they're asking us to go beneath the immediate surface of whatever's going on right now and ask yourself, what am I doing and why? So if you find yourself, especially if you find yourself in the place where you're telling yourself you need to do this, or you need to, or this has to get done. If you're feeling the stress from those messages that are coming internally, the greatest question you can ask yourself at this time is, what am I doing and why? And we're going to find out what's at the core of it. Now, the important part about asking this question is we want to do it from a place of curiosity rather than judgment. The voice that we're hearing that is impelling you to do, behave in a certain way already has a ring of judgment to it. There's this tone of like, if you don't, then something bad's going to happen. So we're being asked to gently get curious and question it like, why do I think that? Why do I believe that is true? And we might find that the ego is actually involved in there, and it's got a little plan, and it's got a plan for what it believes is your better good, but it's actually sort of controlling you through trying to achieve that mean. For example, if I do blank, I will finally be worthy. People will finally recognize my worth. So if I work really hard, if I produce a lot, if I stay on this really intense schedule, finally someone will see the value that I bring to the table. So you can see that the ego is like, well, you want to be valued, right? So do all of this extra stuff. Do it, like really work hard, really push yourself, and then people will finally see that. If I keep presenting like I'm in peace, then no one will see the chaos that I truly feel under the surface. And again, this gets us, instead of actually being in peace, we're performing peace so that we can hide the chaos that we feel inside. So rather than actually feeling peace, well, the ego has got us trapped into performative behavior, where it's like on the surface, it all looks like chill and relax, and underneath, I'm a hot mess. So we're not actually addressing that hot mess feeling. We're just masking it with this performance of peace. Or the classic, my favorite, and my ego has done this to me many times. If I shrink, if I play smaller, if I tone it down, then I'll be safe. Implying that who you actually are is not at all safe to be. And therefore, the ego is running you again. So the ego is saying, hey, I'm just trying to keep you safe. So let's zip the lip, keep it down, like be demure, but not in the like good way, but like in the invisible way, like literally disappear into the scenery and you'll be fine. therefore never allowing yourself to fully express or stand in your own energy. So you can see it's a trap. Like underneath some of the things that we're doing, we might find that there's a pure reason why we're doing it. And if we find that, we continue. It's like, oh, okay, yeah. But if you find yourself in stress and you pause and ask yourself, what am I doing and why? And you get down to this because it's safe, because no one will see the mess, because then people will appreciate me, then they'll understand me. Then we might get, aha, this is something else here. I'm actually not doing this from a pure place, but rather being driven by my ego. And that can be a hard pill to swallow. There have been plenty of times recently, like daily, we can find this. There's small ways and big ways, but there's been plenty of times where I've caught myself in an ego trap. And the natural response to finding that is to feel kind of taken down and defeated. Maybe I'm not as healed as I thought I was. Maybe I'm not as good at this as I thought I was. That's another ego trap. It's like multiple trap doors, right? It's like a tunnel of self-sabotage that we can fall into. So how do you get out of it? You laugh at it, right? One of the things I love about in the tarot, and they talk about like the devil card, and I've talked about with this on here with you before. So if you want to go back and look for it, you can find it. But the devil card in the tarot does not literally represent the devil. It represents being trapped in a false illusion. It represents believing what your ego tells you. And the way to get out is to laugh about it. Because when you can look something in the eye, when you realize you've trapped yourself, you can panic and possibly like create more of a drama or a scenario, or you can simply take the air out of it, how intense it feels, how heavy it feels, by looking at how it's like, wow, I really like, how did I fall into that belief? How did I fall into that belief that if I perform peace, then people will buy it, right? Right. It's like, how did I believe that I wouldn't be able to sense that, or that I would actually feel at peace just pretending to feel it, right? So when we do that for ourselves, what we're doing is it's like you have met a devil in some way. And I don't mean an entity. I just mean the devil of the illusion. The devil is an illusion. And in the tarot, they talk about that. It's not real. It's an illusion. And when you encounter the illusion and you're able to laugh at it, you take all the power out of it and the illusion disappears. And to be clear, when we're laughing, we're not laughing at ourselves. We are laughing at the illusion we believed. It's almost like when we laugh at our ego traps, it's like we wake up and realize, I'm looking in a funhouse mirror. This isn't reality. This is a distortion of reality. The reality is I'm a sovereign being. And the peace that I so desperately want to feel is just behind the chaos. It's not in spite of the chaos. It's just behind it. Meaning, just like when it's a cloudy day, you know there's blue sky behind those clouds. Blue sky did not go away. It's just clouds are covering it. And so when we're feeling a lack of peace, it doesn't mean peace disappeared. It just means the chaos is covering it. And by being able to laugh, we set ourselves free from believing the reflection we see. And we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I fell for the trap. Got it. And we dissipate it. So the team wants you to know that this week you're being asked again to move into observer mode. When you catch yourself and it's the stress, I would, at least for me, maybe there's something else that triggers you. And by the way, if you find something else that triggers you, share it in the chat, just in case it speaks to someone where they're like, oh, that's what I get into. For me, it's the stress. When I catch myself ramping up in stress, and my nervous system knows how to do that beautifully, knows how to ramp into stress. When I catch it, I have to stop myself and go, what am I stressed out about? What am I doing and why? Why am I so stressed about this? Sometimes it's the body's way or the brain's way of translating, this is important to me. But it's important for us to observe it and pull apart the layers so that we can approach it differently. There's no reason to go into stress just because something is important to me. There are other ways for me to deal with it. And usually there's something underneath, well, it's important to me. The fear underneath that is, and I'm not sure if I'm worthy of the thing or the challenge. I'm not sure I have what it takes to meet it. That's a lot of times what I find underneath that. So again, by being able to observe it and not engage in it, but sit back and watch it like a TV show. It's like we can watch it like we're watching The Office or Seinfeld or Friends, something like that, where you're just like, this is ridiculous. The characters in those shows are stressing out. They're overwhelmed by their own ego traps. It's about nothing, right? It's much ado about nothing, which also happens to be my favorite Shakespeare play. But that's exactly what they're talking about. When we're the observer in the audience, we see it so clearly. We're like, oh my gosh, all of that drama for no reason. Now it's time for us to shine the light on ourselves and realize that in some cases, it's all that drama for no reason. And with that, let's go into the karma cards and see what they add to the message. All right, if you're new to karma cards, let me quickly show you how these work. I have 3 decks here: planets, signs of the zodiac, and the houses of astrology. And I've already asked my team, what is the message for this week? And I've got 2 sets of answers, a set in red, which are action related, and a set in blue, which are outcome related. And the way that you play is you tune in with that beautiful intuition of yours and feel, what is the guidance I need this week? Am I looking for action related guidance, or do I want to see how things resolve? And of course, I can always choose both. And with that, I want to let you know this reading is for April 16th through April 23rd. And the flavor of this reading. All right, we've got the South Node, which is about what we've already learned. I mean, it's done. It's about surrendering, yielding, and letting go. So we're letting go of the stories for sure. In the sign of Gemini, which is what we're trying to understand, Gemini is the big question asker. So I love that this card shows up here because it shows us that our attitude should be one of curiosity. And the house that shows up is the first house, the house of self-concept, self-understanding, and self-image. All right, for those who are choosing action, your spiritual action at this time is to remember what you want to be known immediately. Everything comes down to motivation. Everything we're doing comes down to motivation. If we're not pausing to question why we're pushing ourselves to do something or to behave a certain way, then we're actually not in tune with our motivation, which means a default motivation program is running, and it's usually based on our ego. And our ego works almost like an algorithm. It's taking in everything. Your ego is, you're sort of like, in the past, it was framed as your ego is your greatest opponent. I try to see it a little differently because I don't want to be in resistance. I actually want to integrate and merge and have a greater part of me driving. So I see it as more like an algorithm who's taking in everything that you are considering, thinking, afraid of, loving, wanting, and it's sort of trying to figure out as a bypass from your consciousness, how do we run that? How do I make that happen? How do I avoid that and get that? And when we just do things because we're on autopilot, because it's the thing we think we have to do, when we disconnect from our intention, then the ego is taking over, right? This other part is like, I'll drive. This is talking about going back to what's the intention? Okay, you say this has to be done. Why does it have to be done? Can you give yourself the reason why it had to be done? Why did you initially believe? Why did you initially engage with this course of action? And if that purpose has already been met or no longer serves you, why do you keep engaging in it? These are really powerful questions at this time. Mental action at this time, reconsider what is believed about the way you project yourself. Again, we're stepping into our observer self and we're looking at our behavior and asking, is any of this performative? For example, in my own line of work, being so in touch with spiritual energy and working on that side, there is a sort of spiritual persona that is like a amalgamation of all the things we believe spiritual people are. And anytime you tap into that, or anytime you're tapping into spiritual energy and you're doing it long enough, this amalgamated persona sort of floats around and you start seeing it and you're like, is that, like, do I have to be that to be spiritual? For example, in that type of persona, there's a sort of like, I've already healed. I know my things. I've ascended this plane. And I have to say, for the most part, I think that's BS. I think it's BS. If you've ascended this plane, you would not be here anymore. You would turn into a beam of light and vanish. And so this idea that in order to be deeply spiritual, you already have to be healed. Everybody's a work in progress here. And that doesn't take away the knowledge that you have. So that's just one example of what this amalgamation of I have to be this looks like. How about in your own life? Is there an amalgamation that you have of like what a mom is, or what a business leader is, or what a healer is, or what a teacher is? What is the persona that you believe you are supposed to project? And is it the performative version of who you are rather than the real you? Because the real me is very spiritual, and I'm very tapped in, and I got a lot of lessons to learn, and I fall into my own traps, and my ego still likes to pop in, and right, there's a lot more going on here. And I can release the amalgamation, the version I think I'm supposed to be, in order to be this spiritual person who's also a teacher, who also is tapped into spirit. I can release that and be more in who I am, and you can be more in who you are, and we will be more effective at what we do or what we intend to do when we recognize I'm trying to adopt something that's not me. Because I think in order to be this fill in the blank, I have to adopt this fill in the blanks persona. Physical action at this time. Now is not the time to use the quickest way and do it on your own. This one, you're going to have to go through the layers, right? You're going to have to figure out where you're on autopilot and where you're in the driver's seat. And I do believe in certain situations, we can be a little bit of both. You can be a little bit in your unconscious patterns of behavior, and also still connected somewhere to the deeper, truer intention. And then there are other cases where you can be on full autopilot, other places where you're totally connected in. I believe the places where you're totally connected in, you already feel good. It's like you get it. It's very clear. You know what to do, and you kind of go to it. Then there are places where it's like, I know what I want. I know what I'm here to do. But I feel this intense pressure to do it in a very specific way. And I have these standards, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's some ego stuff in that one. And then there are places where it's like, I wouldn't dare drop this because I'm worried if I drop this, again, fill in the blank persona, then I'd be exposed and people would not believe, not trust, not like whatever is truly there. So it's got different levels to it. It's going to take some time, but it's so worth looking. And remember, if you catch yourself in the trap, the way out is to sort of laugh about it. And you're not laughing at yourself. You're laughing at, oh, there's a booby trap here and I fell right in. Oh my gosh, a lot of people fall into this booby trap. How silly that we create all this drama over nothing. All right, so now let's look for outcomes with the South Node in Gemini in the first house. The spiritual outcome at this time, there will not be information to explain who you are. Okay, so there might not be information to explain who you are, and that's because we're observing what is false. Once we can remove all the false layers, then who you are is right there. And it's deep, and it might be something that cannot be spoken, but it can definitely be felt. And it's more of a resonance. So at this time, if you're like, I just want to know what's truly running, you're not going to get that until you move away the false layers. Trust, you're going to get there, but the false layers first. Mental outcome at this time, anxiety about communications about your desires. I think that part of the anxiety that I'm getting is when you remove those layers, it also feels like vulnerability and exposure, like you're being exposed. The ego did a job for us, sort of working cover and creating a distraction, and the true desire or the true thing underneath it could kind of go incognito under what we think we're doing. When we realize something like I'm performing peace so no one sees the chaos I feel, well, that feels very like vulnerable and exposed. So I do get like there's a nervousness in looking, because your awareness acts like a spotlight on it, and now it's seen. And there might be this, fear of like, oh my God, everyone's going to see. Right now, it's really about you seeing. I think what people would witness if they saw it from the outside, let's say you see that performative piece thing, and then you decide, I'm going to let that go because it's not actually in alignment and it's not really bringing me peace. I think what the outside world would see is this person who maybe just acts like they have everything together. They would sense that something true has come forward, and that person might be like, I feel like it's hard right now. And with that statement, something that is actually so real and so aligned, it actually creates a sense of comfort and integrity and alignment for other people to witness, because people feel it even if they can't put their finger on it. And when someone's out of alignment with their truth, you know it. You know it, and you're like, I don't know why I can't really trust what you're saying, or I don't know why I get this weird feeling about you. They can't necessarily see the exact details, but they feel the gist of it. When the person drops the persona, the facade, and stands in their own truth, people actually feel very comfortable around you for that. It's like, this is a real person. Like, I can breathe here. And there's a lot of appreciation for that integrity and alignment. And it allows others to also relax and breathe and be in their own integrity and alignment as well. So it's a very powerful space. It feels vulnerable doing it, but it's actually very powerful. And physical outcome at this time, trouble resulting from the fluctuations of your actions. I get that we might be willing to observe, but moving out of the behavioral pattern might take a little bit. And this is where, again, we just practice patience and curiosity with ourselves. Just because we're willing to look doesn't mean we always change right away. Whenever the South Node is present, we don't get a lot of movement, forward momentum with this energy. It's very reflective. So the trouble I sense isn't really big trouble. It's just, it feels at odds, because it's like telling a lie in a way and then getting really honest with yourself that you're lying, but the lie is still going. And now you have to make choices about whether you keep up the lie or you tell the truth. And it's that weird place in between the two that you find yourself. And again, this lie isn't to imply that people are going around and purposely deceiving themselves or each other. So it feels like a strong language. And what I want you to understand is you're between the facade and the truth. And integrity is when you're standing with truth. And so when you're looking at it and you're seeing it and you're like, that's the facade, there's the truth. But you've been standing over with the facade for a while, but now you see the truth. And there's this moment where it's like, I need to move, but I don't know if I can. That's the feeling I get. It's like, I need to, there's where I'm supposed to be, but I'm having resistance or a hard time or fear stepping over into the version that I'm meant to be. And that's what I get. There's trepidation. And the word trouble here feels like trepidation. I'm having trouble connecting to it right now. And maybe because it's like a lot of the things that we build for ourselves, we build out of some idea of protection. Like we really think we're protecting ourselves somehow. So when you see, oh, this is just a cover to create a sense of protection, but this is the real thing, there's this hesitation to leave what you believe is protecting you. So it gets a little sticky when you do the work. And the best thing you can do for yourself is have patience and continue to observe it. You're like, oh, okay, I see it. I see where my truth is. I see where I think protection is. I see I'm struggling to move over or merge. And I'm just going to get curious about that and see, is there anything I can do that would create a sense of safety in me doing this action? And possibly that will give you the answer and allow you to move forward. So basically what I'm trying to say is the trouble is sort of like an internal conflict and not so much a result of your behavior. It's a result of seeing the truth and still operating from an old pattern. And so this week, as we all look together and look at the layers, I'm sending you so much love and empowerment that, one, you have the curiosity to look, and two, whatever you find it without judgment, and you just try to understand, why did I put that there? What did I believe that was going to give me? 3, as you observe your truth and maybe observe nervousness to step fully into it, give yourself the grace that you will, and that it's going to take a moment, and that you're not doing it alone. And with that, I'm sending you so much love. Mwah.